Picture your search history from the last 2 years. Not the embarrassing parts, the hopeful ones. How to start a business with no money. Best running shoes for beginners. Learn guitar in 30 days. Apartments for rent in Lisbon. Hundreds of searches. Hours and hours of quiet, careful research. And somewhere inside that history, there's a version of your life that's already complete. He has the business plan. She has the fitness routine. They've already moved to Lisbon. That version of you exists in full. Fully formed, fully researched, fully ready. The only thing missing from that life is you actually living it. That's what I want to talk about today. Not laziness, not failure. Something quieter and stranger than both. The fact that a lot of us are spending our one life preparing for a different one, a better one, a future one, while the actual days keep passing without much in them at all. I call it living in the waiting room. The lights are on, there's something pleasant playing on the TV. It feels active, even purposeful. You're not doing nothing. You're reading, researching, comparing, optimizing. But the door to the room you're actually waiting for never opens. And the strange part is, nobody's making you sit there. You could stand up and walk through that door right now. You just don't. You can see this everywhere once you know what you're looking at. The gym membership that exists so you can become someone who works out, while the actual working out keeps sliding to Monday. The 17 tabs comparing the best laptop for starting your YouTube channel, attached to a channel with 0 videos. The years spent highlighting craft books on how to write a novel, never once writing the novel. The guitar in the corner of the room, slightly out of tune, picked up 4 times since you bought it 8 months ago, the person you were going to become. None of this looks like avoidance from the inside. It looks like responsibility. You're not sitting around doing nothing. You have evidence, a folder of notes, a spreadsheet of comparisons, a bookmarks bar that could double as a syllabus. Effort undeniably has occurred. What hasn't occurred is a life that has actually changed shape. So here's the real question. Why would a reasonably intelligent person choose research over reality again and again for years? Because preparation has a property that doing does not. It's completely safe. When you're researching the business, you haven't failed at the business. When you're buying gear for the hobby, you haven't found out you're mediocre at the hobby. When you're reading about relationships, you haven't been turned down by one. As long as you're still getting ready, you remain undefeated. A person of unlimited potential, someone who could become anything, precisely because you've never picked one specific thing and found out what you actually are at it. That's the trade being made, quietly, underneath all the research. A small, specific, possibly disappointing real life, traded for an enormous, vague, untested, imaginary one. And the imaginary one always wins on paper because nothing has happened to it yet. The novel in your head is a masterpiece. The business in your head has no failed launches. The relationship in your head never gets bored of you. Nothing that exists only in preparation can disappoint you, because nothing that exists only in preparation has ever actually been asked to perform. So it's not commitment you're afraid of. It's information. You're not avoiding the failure, you're avoiding finding out. And here's the part that should genuinely unsettle you. None of this registers as failure while it's happening. There's no single dramatic moment where you give up on the thing you wanted. You never consciously choose the smaller life. You just keep choosing not yet and not yet. Said enough times, quietly turns into never, without ever announcing itself as one. Step back 5 years on this pattern and the shape becomes obvious. The almost ready business is still almost ready. The not quite the right time relationship never found the right time. The novel is still being outlined. Nothing collapsed, nothing dramatic happened. The life was simply gently postponed, one reasonable sounding delay at a time, until the postponing became the life. Now I want to be careful here, because the fix isn't stop preparing and just throw yourself at everything. That's not courage. That's just a different costume for avoidance. Preparation isn't the villain in this story. The problem is that preparation has no natural off switch. Left alone, it doesn't stop itself. It just keeps expanding to fill whatever time you hand it, the way water fills whatever container you pour it into. So the actual skill isn't preparing less. It's noticing the difference between preparation that's building toward a start date and preparation that has quietly become the permanent replacement for one. Here's the fastest way to tell which one you're doing. Ask yourself, honestly, if you had to begin today, not impressively, Not perfectly, just begin. With whatever skill and resources you currently have, would you? If the honest answer comes back as something close to dread, pay attention to that. It usually doesn't mean you need more preparation. It means some part of you would rather protect the unlimited, untested version of yourself than risk becoming the small, specific, real one. So if any of this is landing closer to home than you'd like, here are 3 moves. Not motivational, just mechanical. The date, not when I'm ready, an actual date on an actual calendar. Ready isn't a feeling that arrives on its own schedule. It's a side effect of having already started. Waiting for it to show up first is waiting for the events to happen in the wrong order. The embarrassing version. Decide right now what good enough to begin looks like, and set that bar low enough to feel slightly humiliating. The first product, the first chapter, the first set, the first conversation, it's supposed to be bad. That's not the failure state. That's the entry fee everyone pays, including the people you admire. The only real choice you have is whether you pay it now or pay the exact same fee in 3 more years, just later and with more regret attached. The ratio: for every extra hour spent learning about the thing, spend at least 1 hour doing a small, real version of it. The moment research time starts outpacing doing time, that's your signal. Preparation has stopped serving the goal and started quietly replacing it. Go back to that search history, the business plan you researched but never opened, the flashcards for the move you keep almost making, the guitar in the corner. None of it is proof that you're behind or broken or out of time. It's proof that some part of you wanted something badly enough to start preparing for it in the first place. That part of you was never the problem. It might be the only part of you that's been telling the truth this whole time. So close the tabs, open the door. The waiting room was never where the life was happening. It's just where you've been comfortable standing still. If this said something you needed to hear, stay a while. I make videos like this every week, and I'd rather you spend the next 10 minutes here than the next hour researching the thing you already know you need to start. I'll see you in the next one.